Hi kids, Pops again. I have a new book. This is Yellow and Pink by William Steig, and it's one of my favorite books. And you'll like it even more as you get older, but I think you'll like it now. Wait a minute. See there, Pops? So let's read it. William Steig is the guy who wrote another book you probably heard of called Shrek. And this is a book about two puppets. One is yellow and one is pink. Yellow and pink. There's yellow and there's pink. And it's by William Steig. There you go. And the two puppets are lying out on on some old newspapers. Two small figures made of wood were lying out in the sun one day on an old newspaper. One was short, fat, and painted pink. The other was straight, thin, and painted yellow. It was hot and quiet, and they both were wondering. What were they wondering? After a while, the yellow one sat up and focused his eyes on the pink one. "Do I know you?" "I don't think so," Pink answered. "Do you happen to know what we're doing here?" asked Yellow. "No," said Pink. "I don't even remember getting here." "Me neither," said Yellow, looking all around. There were chickens busy pecking a little way off, and farther back in the field, some dreamy cows. I can't help wondering," he went on, "how we got here. It all seems strange and new. Who are we?" Pink looked Yellow over. He found Yellow's color, his well-chiseled head, his whole form admirable. "Someone must have made us," he said. "How could anyone make something like me? So intricate, so perfect," Yellow asked. "Or for that matter, like you. And wouldn't we know who made us, since we had to be there when we got made?" "And why," Yellow added, "would he leave us like this with no explanation? I say we're an accident. Somehow or other, we just happened." Pink couldn't believe what he heard. He started laughing. "You mean these arms I can move this way and that? This head I can turn in any direction? This breathing nose? These walking feet? All of this just happened by some kind of fluke? That's preposterous." "Oh, don't laugh," said Yellow. "Just stop and think. With enough time, 1,000, 1,000,000, maybe 2.5 million years, a lot of unusual things could happen. Lots of unusual things. Why not us?" "Because it's impossible. It's absolutely out of the question. How could we just happen? Would you mind explaining?" Yellow got up and began walking around. He kicked a pebble and said, "Well, it could be something like this. I'm not saying exactly, but suppose a branch broke off a tree and fell on a sharp rock in just the right way so that one end split open and made legs. So there you have legs. And then the winter came and this piece of wood froze and ice split the mouth open. There's your mouth. Then one day a big hurricane took that piece of wood and sent it tumbling down a rocky hill with little bushes, and it got bumped and chipped and brushed this way and that. Sand blowing in the wind might have helped smooth us out. And that piece of wood could have hung around at the bottom of that hill for a long, long time, until one day, zing, lightning struck in such a way as to make arms and fingers and toes." "All right," Pink interrupted, "but what about our eyes? What about our ears and our nostrils?" Yellow sat down on a stone to do some more thinking. "Eyes," he said, "could have been made by insects boring in, or maybe by woodpeckers. maybe even by hailstones of exactly the right size hitting repeatedly in just the right places. said Pink. And he held his hands behind his back. How come we can see out of these holes the woodpecker made and hear? Because that's what eyes and ears are for, dummy. What else would you do with them? Those cows over there see with their big eyes, and ants see with his teeny eyes, and we see with ours. Okay, said Pink, let's say you're right, just for the sake of conversation. Do you mean to tell me all those odd things happened, not once, but twice, so that there's two of us? The branch fell off the tree, it hit a rock, it rolled down the hill, lightning struck, a woodpecker pecked, etc., etc. Well, why not, said Yellow. In a million years, I didn't say 5 seconds, the same thing could easily happen twice. A million years takes a very long time. Branches do break, and winds are always blowing, and there's always some lightning and some hail and so forth and so on. But you and I are so different. How come? Well, that just proves what I'm saying, cried Yellow. It's all accidental. You're probably from a different kind of wood. You must have rolled down a different kind of hill. A soft, mushy one, perhaps. Pink was not satisfied with these explanations. He suddenly gave Yellow a challenging look. Explain this, he said. How come we're painted the way we are? Yellow took a few circular turns, pondering this question. The paint. Well, suppose when we rolled down those hills, or whatever it was we rolled down, we rolled through some paint someone had spilled. Pink for you, and yellow for me. And it came out so neat and symmetrical, Pink said, with perfect edges in just the right places, and there were 3 drops of white paint in a straight line for my buttons, and 3 drops of black paint in a straight line for your buttons. What about that, my yellow friend? Yellow was silent. He leaned against a tree stump, scratching his wooden head. I can't answer all these questions. Some things will have to remain a mystery. Maybe forever. But why are we arguing on such a fine day? Just then, a man who needed a haircut came shambling along, humming a tune. He picked up Pink and looked him over. Then he picked up Yellow and looked him over. Nice and dry, he said. He tucked them both up under his arm and headed back to where he'd come from. Who's this guy? Yellow whispered in Pink's ear. Pink didn't know. The end.